Look around! Man filth! Witness my savagery! Taste the pain of my axes! Gaze upon my fury! Your doom!
Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor was one of 2014's surprise hits. Few expected a licensed Rings game developed by Monolith to be as engaging and faithful as it was. But the real star of the show was the unique Nemesis system, and that comes back in Shadow of War in a big, big way.
You are trapped here like me and everyone else. This is the iron prison of Mordor, a pit of darkness and evil. Our only escape is glorious death.
Play your quest as Talion, the undead Gondorian ranger / Aragorn lookalike, and ring forger Celebrimbor, as in the first game. Unlike the first game, however, the story and setting is vastly increased. You are now on a quest to overthrow Sauron, having created a new ring of power which is immediately lost.
You're probably gonna kill me in a boring way. How sad!
The story and setting is much wider and more varied, giving you a variety of open sandboxes, each of its own stronghold, that later in the game can be captured and subsequently defended. This is where the Nemesis system comes into play, more prominently than in Shadow of Mordor. As you regain your ring, you can dominate orcs that are at your level or below, and they will join your side. Once you've dominated an orc, you can command him to do a few things, including setting one as your bodyguard for that area or having them betray a war chief they guard in the stronghold. This means they will stab them in the back when you try to challenge that war chief or attack the stronghold.
My black speech is a little rusty. Actually, I don't know a single word. Language is a pain in the ass, but to hazard a guess, he said you're all gonna die horribly. Yeah, my kind of black.
Well, I will handle the Overlord. You focus on the Defenders.
Define focus.
While this makes for a much more interesting world, where you can essentially turn each map into a war zone, there isn't really a huge amount to make your orcs do. You can have them challenge other orcs, to level up in fighting pits, ambush enemies, or become an assault leader in an attack on a stronghold. Once you captured it, you pick an overlord and a few war chiefs to defend it. It would have been nice to expand it on this civil war in Mordor, perhaps allowing for actual movements of armies and battles, but as it is, large battles are only for attacking and defending these forts. One of the reasons the tasks you give your orcs to complete don't feel significant is because you are. As you quest through the game on normal difficulty, you will rarely find yourself in trouble. Generally, all orcs can be handled even above your level. This is especially true further into the game as you find yourself swimming in upgrade points and coins. Earlier in the game I found myself picking off each war chief and stronghold defense one by one, but eventually you realise there's not much point to this as you're generally powerful enough to just rush in and take everybody on as it is. Of course, if you lose and you're picked off by a simple orc, that orc will become powerful captain. A captain that you can either take revenge on or dominate later to use in your own army.
Prefer mine burned to a crisp, smoky and delicious. I can't wait to fry you up and serve you to Sauron himself.
The real enemy here is the chaos around you. Several times I found myself swamped by enemies, and trying to dominate a captain or suck some health out of an orc is frustrating, as it is incredibly difficult to focus on one target when there are so many rushing around you. Where Shadow of War really earns its stars is through everything it has already done before. The Nemesis system is bigger and better. Orcs are more diverse and charming, usually mixing the perfect level of threat and humour to keep you entertained. If you're anything like me, you'll find yourself skipping over the cheap collectibles and even story quests in search of more powerful and interesting captains to challenge and dominate. The story isn't the strongest. It doesn't have the drive with revenge that Mordor had, and is really just there to serve the newest version of Nemesis. However, it does its part, and if you're an avid fan of Jackson's take on Middle-earth, there are plenty of interesting lore-heavy pieces here, including a quote-unquote true ending that ties well to the Fellowship of the Ring. Though unless you like grinding or paying for loot boxes, you might struggle to get there. This is backed up by the fact that most story parts are optional. You mainly progress through this game by taking each region's stronghold and defending them. Graphically, Shadow of War looks great, with cutscenes in particular impressing. In-game can sometimes suffer a little bit by the aesthetic of Lord of the Rings, as it's mostly greys and browns. However, it's clear the developers have thought about this when including several different worlds, each with its own distinctive environment. This is one of the reasons the visuals feel so much fresher than the last game. The two standout worlds being the tropical world of Nirnum, the icy land of Saragost. This footage was captured on a PS4 Pro, so it's quite possible it'll look even better on a high-end PC and of course the upcoming Xbox One X. There is, unfortunately, a big cloud hanging over this great game, and that is, of course, loot boxes. In Shadow, loot boxes are actually chests that you can claim as silver, gold, or mithril. The problem is, the game, like many before it, tries to entice you as much as it can to purchase these, and sadly, this is where the biggest fault of this game shows. You are given a gold chest early on, which grants you 3 strong orcs and a couple of upgrades for these or any other captain. However, once you have this chest, it's near impossible to get another without paying actual money. Throughout my playthrough, I received this one free one, and one more that I was able to pay for through gold coins I'd earned in game. I was never able to buy myself an elite mithril chest. The other chest I got gave me 3 powerful orcs. Orcs that come in very handy in Shadow of War's endgame. While the game can be completed without opening a single chest, it takes a hell of a lot of grinding. And the endgame is essentially a bunch of siege defences that get continuously harder, a lot of them, in which a lot of your orcs are going to die. So unless you continuously grind to dominate captains, to continuously replenish those you've lost in the sieges, to continuously fight the same sieges over and over again, you're probably going to have to pay money to get more orcs. The problem is the endgame is clearly made to try and get you to buy more loot boxes, and that's where loot boxes become a problem. Whilst I have no problem with loot boxes in general, because quite simply you can choose not to buy them, it's when the game does its very, very best to make it as difficult and as generally horrible as possible on you, so that you feel that you have to buy them. In the end, I just watched the true ending on YouTube. No regrets. Overall, Shadow of War is a worthy successor to its original. If you were a fan of Shadow of Mordor, you will be a fan of this. It's essentially the same gameplay with a glossier coat, larger world and a more interesting nemesis system. The siege battles add enough diversity to keep it fresh, it's just a shame it doesn't know when enough is enough.
Yeah! Hit him like that!